Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session of the Human Edge series. This is a series that we started from the beginning of this year, and as we made mention, this series is dedicated to developing three parts of yourself. That is, number one, your head; number two, your heart; and number three, your um head, heart, and oh, surprisingly, I've forgotten the third part. Not I've forgotten. Head, heart, and hand. Yes. And the hand is the part that is dedicated to doing the work. The head is the part that do the thinking. And then the heart is the one that puts in the dedication. And we believe that if these three parts of your body finds themselves together, involved in anything, there's a high chance that you are going to achieve well in it. Today's series is focused on getting a job. So if you're someone who is focused on getting a job, advancing your career, anything about professional development, or anything HR related, the one you should be talking to is the one we have on the call today. So Stelom will use few minutes to introduce himself to us and then start the conversation going. There's no need for you to leave, just focus, and in less than 1 hour, I'm sure most of your questions will even be answered before you even ask them. Salom, you're welcome.
Um, Thank you very much, Emily. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you. If you can hear Salom, just put a
Yes.
comment in the comment section, an emoji or something.
Okay. I think I've seen a few comments that I'm loud and clear. So we can proceed from there. One of the questions I don't like asking is tell me about yourself and all of those things. I know there's like a job related thing we are doing, and you might hear a few of those during the interviews that you might go for or have gone for. Um, but I would say that my name is Yaw Selorm Kuatsinu. I consult for a company called the Global Development Incubator, and I'm essentially here to try and share my journey in the corporate space with you and see how that can help at least someone, how do you call it, make the best out of themselves or position themselves very well for the job market. I'm sharing my screen now. Um, I hope and believe my screen should be very visible at everyone's end by now. So I think for now, I'll lose track of some of uh, the comments or the questions that might come in, but I'll do encourage. I'm going to answer those questions. So yes, as I said, my name is Yaw Selorm Kuatsinu. I consult for a non-profit or a development agency called the Global Development Incubator, and my company operates in Ghana and in Kenya essentially. That's for the African markets, but we operate in the US, Europe, and a few Asian countries as well, mainly trying to, how do you call it, have different projects that are addressing like different development challenges as well. So I think we can just delve straight in. That should give you like a bit of overview of who I am and what I've done over the past um, years. So the message to everyone here is that when it comes to my life, I didn't start my professional. I started really trying to position myself very well, right? And that has to do with, I remember in level, which was more like a level 100. And essentially, I went for the interview and I got selected. And I didn't even know they were giving money as a then, right? Because I think the goal was mainly to train people to be entrepreneurs, right? So I joined, and then I remember I went to the interview around. For those of you who went to the University of Ghana, that was around the Ekwafu Hall, yeah, Ekwafu Hall, I believe, or Legon Hall. Yes. So I was selected, and then I got in, and then a few, how do you call it, months down the line, um, how do you call it? I was made a head of a department, right? And that's one of the things that happened to me on campus since level 100. And then after that, I found myself in uh, as well. There's a funny story to this because like there's a deep background story to everything I'm going to share with you guys. Um, but essentially, I had met event and event for man, the lady that but for all the speakers that came to speak, um I operate based on instinct a lot of the times, right? And my instinct just told me, just go and speak to this particular person, right? And that person was called Jerry Biscoff. And Jerry Biscoff then had a business called Yabroni. So Yabroni is fancy kinky, like fancy kinky, but he had a way of packaging it in a way that it could last for months. And even during COVID, when the Ghanaian government wanted to ship food to students, using the source to do that, quite a good number of you like. So I decided to help him sell it on campus, right? So I used to actually do like door to door engagements, targeting the graduate. I don't reflect back onto how I'm able to do some of the things I'm doing. I'll just do all of those. And then later on, because I built
Okay, sorry about that. Seems that Salom has a little challenge with his um network. Okay. Um, so we just play a random game now. We want to put our expectation. So um he is not yet done with his talk, but let's put our expectation. What are you expecting from this conversation? So at the end of the 1.5 hours, 1 hour 30 minutes, what's your expectation? Salom,
Yes, my
yes. You
internet
can-
went off for a while, but I'm back now.
Okay, welcome back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sorry, my internet went off, but I'm back now. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I think I was on Code 57 and then the experience with yeah, Bruni. Sorry, the internet is very bad. I've seen a few complaints. I can't control that. Unfortunately, I'm in Ghana. But yeah, but then I hope you guys are able to hear what I'm sharing with you guys. Um, so then I joined Code 57. I was able to expand Code 57 to a few campuses in the country. That is KNUST, UCC, UHAS, and then yes, I think we went to UMAT too as well. So for Code 7 at a point in time, we were one of the biggest campus groups, right? Because it was a very much youth oriented organization where we had different wings. So I largely handled the political wing, and this is not MPP NDC. This was strictly related to like mobilization of young people for whatever project we wanted to work on. So I largely worked on that on campus, and I also had opportunity to lead a department, which is the political wing, and that enabled me to, how do you call it? Um, I don't know if my network is still breaking because I'm off the screen. I can't really see what's happening in the chat.
Yeah, we can hear you now. If you can hear Salom, just put it in the comment section so we can hear you.
Okay. So down the line, I became the head of the political wing, and it was purely through volunteering and the kind of efforts that I put in as well. There's one story that is missing here, but then I'll come back to it later on. But I think for me, when it came to my uni experience, the core of what I wanted to do has always been development oriented, right? And I think I learned that in among just my friends and kind of conversations that we're having, and the kind of help I offer to people and the feedback that I get from them, it made me realize that I wanted to be in a development space, right? Or be in spaces where I can help people become better. And that influenced my entrepreneurial life and then my development phase as well. So when I was on campus, I studied political science, English and theater arts at the University of Ghana, but I majored in political science and then minored in theater arts. And one of my electives were mainly around development studies or international politics, right? And I've always liked to be practical, right? Just to sidetrack a bit, I've done a bit of farming before, right? And for me, my even though the farming was my friends and we had someone that was like actual agricultural students, part of us, I didn't want to be at the top or something, right? I always wanted to like go to the farm, get my hands dirty, and all of those things, right? I just prefer that as compared to being at a place where I get to make just decisions, right? So I realized that if I say I like development, which has to do with making sure that communities and people are better, I've stayed literally all of my life, right? So why don't I join Lead for Ghana? And I saw Lead for Ghana through a career day at the University of Ghana. So I joined, I inquired about them, and I'm like, oh, sounds really interesting. It fits into like what I wanted to do. Leave Accra, go to a village somewhere in Ghana, and see how I can serve the as well. So for Lead for Ghana as well, before I even became a fellow or what they now call associate, I started to like share ideas with the team, volunteer with them in case they have events that they want me to come on board or do anything. I volunteered my ideas and then talked with them, right? So once it opened for applications, I applied essentially, and I was hopeful that because I maybe I've done some work with them in the past, I might get through. But then the Live Ghana experience is not based on who you know. It's quite a very rigorous process. So you go through a series of assessments, you go for your interviews, and or but thankfully I was able to get into Lead for Ghana, and I spent 2 years in Ayumso. Does can anyone guess where Ayumso is? I intentionally did not add the region, but I can anyone guess where Ayumso is in Ghana? Anyone can just try. There's a small town called Ayumso. Can anyone try and guess what part of Ghana they think Ayumso is going to be at? I'm trying to get a chat box. Just one response and then we can go. You can just guess any region in Ghana. Okay, someone says Ashanti region. It wasn't Ashanti region. It was far out of Ashanti region. So I was in the now half region. It's not a northern region. It was in the half region, right? And I think we use the road. So it was about at least 8 hours from Accra to Ayumso, and you have to drop at Goso. Then you pick a taxi. You go through this very thick forest, and then you are now entering. You could really see the contrast between a place like Accra and outside Accra. Because when Accra, we think that Accra is Ghana, but I promise you, if you've traveled across the country, Accra is not Ghana. Ghana is really not like that. Accra is comparatively nicer than other regions, but it's really tough in that other place. So I had to go and serve there for 2 years, and my role was two things: one, to teach an underserved school. This is a school where really some people are afraid to touch the computer. If you spent your life in Accra, you might not relate to this, but there are people in Ghana that still are afraid to just type on a computer or even a laptop, right? It looks new to them, right? I remember for some of them, I had to show pictures of like Villaggio, and they can't imagine these are things that they can also have access to, right? So I served there for 2 years, and it was an amazing experience for me. And then I also had to identify a particular problem within the community and then solve. So one of the things I realized was that Ghana's education system is in English, right? We can't do much about it for now. And most of the people were conversant with their local dialects, right? So they were not exposed to reading, they couldn't form sentences properly, quite a good number of them. So one of the key things I wanted to do was to set up a makeshift library. Solomon, ADS, you got it. Set up a makeshift shift library. So we did that. I caught up on a few friends of mine. Some of them sent books, some of them sent money, and then we had to do that for the community, right? But then in terms of Lead for Ghana to as well, my as I Lead for Ghana, so I did my service with Lead for Ghana, and then did another 1 year with them because it's a 2 year fellowship program that you do only for Ghana. Then after that, after the 2 years, you are on your own essentially, and just like we say in Ghana, you are back on the job market. So what worked for me was that I had a good relationship with my coaches. So in for Ghana, for every region or district that you belong to, they are given a coach to essentially somebody you can report to, guide, because they've also been through the field before, right? So after the fellowship program, I received an email from my coach. Hey Salom, this is an opportunity with a company called Blossom Academy. Would you want to apply? I ignored the message. Bad of me, but I ignored the message because I saw the rule. I'm like, I've never even heard of a rule like that before. Because the rule was employer partner strategist. I'm like, what's this? So I ignored it. But then 24 hours to the close of the the deadline, he reached out to me and said, Solomon, apply for it. So I just put in the word, and I went for the interview, and then I got the job, right? And a few months down the line, I became the team lead of the employer partnerships team as well. Then after doing my blossom days to as well, how do you call it? There's a point where I wanted to try new things, which was like go to school. So I was hoping for like a very different role that could afford me the opportunity to go to school. And so, but then I prayed for a new role, and essentially, um, someone again recommended me for a friend of mine recommended me for a role as well, and I went for the interview, and I was able to get that particular role as well, right? So essentially, the point I'm trying to start with here is that I was able to provide value to people, and they were able to offer me opportunities that, in the long run, brought me money and job offers. Right, that's the main point I really want to drive here. But we can go a bit in depth here. And I have a small media company called Strictly Social Africa, and it's also a thing about how I position myself, right? So basically, I remember I was on campus. I knew a few people, and I was invited to a radio show. And for the radio show that I went to, I like to do research. So I started to do research about the host and the people that have been to the show. And I saw this lady. She was amazing. She was beautiful. She was smart and all of those things. I'm like, okay, what's she doing? Then I really like digged into her profile and everything. Then I just, oh, she's someone that I could really engage. So through the program, I got her Instagram handle. I sent her a text because she was doing something with financial literacy. So I wanted to like really master my finances then because I had some money. I still don't know how I was able to squander or spend that money. I lost it somehow. But like she came at the right time for me. So I remember I went to her office, we had a conversation, and then she invited me to a program that she was doing on campus. And then I got introduced to a now friend and brother called Cecil, and then we got connected, and then we founded a group called True Social Africa, right? So for me, I think the key point here was that I had to show up to an event, and that event led me to meeting someone, and that someone connected me to someone, and then we now media company that we are running, right? So one importance of showing up for people as well, and for setting my relationship with her has been the same thing. It's purely been on voluntary basis, trying to see how I can help someone who I believe in her vision grow something as well, right? Now, everything about this conversation has to do with how to position yourself properly, right? I've shared a few experiences with my work, but then now I want to really share go in depth about some of the things I do really now, and try and help you guys understand how to position yourself properly and how it works to your favor. So, career position really has to do with before you speak, right? What value do people see from you, right? So my work right now has to do with partnership. So I engage a lot of companies. I've done that in Ghana, in Kenya, and then in Nigeria as well, right? So what really helps me is that before before I have a call with them, they already have a sense of idea of what I do, either through an email or a conversation I had with someone or an event I went to or through one of our partners that had recommended me to them, right? So what really happens there is that my work is in a way that we help employers by offering them talent at a subsidized cost, right? So from that point of view, I already come with enter conference rooms, events, or boardrooms, the conversation really changes, right? I don't really have to speak about what I do so much. It's more about how well we can work together, right? So that's how my work as of now has positioned me. And before that too as well, that's what the things I used to do. That positioned me in some of the groups that I mentioned I had worked with, right? And then for people that reach out to you as well, how you position yourself really matters. I have a friend that we even met up yesterday as well, and there's a friend that's even if you offer him a job that pays $1,000, right? He will tell you that he can only do that remotely and on a part-time basis, like literally. And it's been going on for a while that when HRs reach out to him and then he negotiates on that front with them, the CEOs of those big companies now come behind on LinkedIn and try and engage him, right? Because what he's done is to build himself as a learning and development practitioner. And he was with one of the big local companies, banks in Ghana for now, right? So what he's done is just to position himself in a way that he's so valuable in the market that people now approach him. And even if a job offer through an HR is rejected, the CEO of those companies reach out to him, right? So that's one thing about how to position yourself very well, and even the kind of rules that you are offered, right? All of these things has to do with that. And I want to share a very practical experience here. I remember a few years ago, I was working. This is recorded on YouTube, but it's been live on YouTube, so I'll try and remove a few details. But we were engaging one of the UN companies or one of the UN groups in Ghana because we had sent them people that they wanted to recruit. And when we sent their profiles, they were supposed to be two people, one lady and one guy. The lady had no issue, so they put the lady. Now they had to, the person that was supposed to make the choice, one particular person. And that person had already been matched to a different company. And we were now saying that the next person is quite very good because from the feedback that we received, they are both excellent, right? And he said no, he still wants this other person. So we put further, and then we realized that one person was very big on putting their work out there. So that person had a portfolio that he used to upload his projects and everything. He just upload everything there. And then the other person who was equally good according to the instructors didn't get a job offer, mainly because he wasn't uploading his projects out there. And I mentioned that that person that the UN agency wanted had already been recruited, and they didn't even want to offer pay for that particular because I think it was right after COVID or so, and then they had to, how do you call it, fund and all of those things. But we left the office, and then we're somewhere around. This thing. But back to the story. So basically, we were somewhere around Kodesh, and then they called us that, hey, Salom, tell the guy to reject that particular offer. We are willing to pay him X amount of money. And if you work in the UN space or work in the development space, you would have an idea of how much they even pay for just internships, right? And this was a big offer. And till dates the guy is working with them, right? So the key story is that you can have the same background or degree with someone, right? But then something is really going to set you apart, and you have to just know how to operate and then know how to what put yourself out there and then become visible in the job market, right? Now, when it comes to the current job market, this is what I personally believe that it's going to work for people. Um, I know the first point looks a bit controversial, which is AI. I am a point where I believe that every single job as it is now is not going to be wiped away. It's just going to evolve in terms of the use of AI in the work, but within the core structure of that particular work, it's not going to change, right? And if you know a bit of history and of those things, you would appreciate that when it comes to technology, right? It's always destructive. It changes markets and all, but the truth is that it also opens up other doors, right, for quite a good number of people. It's just how you're able to position yourself and take advantage of all of those things. And it's a big thing about one of the things I believe in is like learning, unlearning, and relearning. So for every work that you are doing right now, I would say know how to use AI in your work, right? So maybe right now in the AI space, one of the things that we are seeing, which according to research, is that for every job that AI disrupts, right? For that particular role, it brings about at least five different jobs that are related to that particular job, right? So if you pick a job like data entry, for example, which is quite manual, and AI is now automating that particular industry, right? For that particular job that AI is automating, you realize that there's a surge in demand for AI auditors to really audit the data that the AI has automated. There's also a surge in um, data ethicists, right? These are people that are supposed to make sure that the data is not harmful to other people, right? There's a surge in that. There's also a surge in prompt engineers. There's a surge in system integrators, right? So just for a data entry rule that AI has evolved, it's also opened five different rules for that particular company. So my standpoint is that every person should learn AI tools, right? And how it fits into your work because it's going to change your industry. But then the key point is that what other rules does it open up that you can also find yourself in and then do as well. That's where I sit when it comes to AI as well. And for me, that's like the most technical tool that I think everyone should know because every single industry I think is going to be retained, it's just going to be evolved. And I think people should learn how to, in the professional space, learn how to communicate clearly, right? Learn how to solve problems. I work in a space where I've engaged, I don't know, close to 300 companies over the past 3 years, right? And one of the things that always stands out is that companies have issues, people have issues. If you are someone that knows how to solve the problems, you would easily grow in those companies. I've seen it work for me. I've seen it work for other people as well. So when it comes to problems or any company you go to, try and think of how can I solve a particular problem within that company. It could be in your department or the general company. Try and find a way to solve these problems that they have. I would also encourage that for every company that you find yourself in, um, they are stakeholders and they can be internal or external, right? Try and know how to engage them. it really opens up doors for you. Internally, you can easily grow within the company. Outside, you can easily grow as well. I'm at a point in life right now where I see that your highest paying jobs, right, will come through recommendations. And these are people speaking for you, or people recommending you to other people, right? So I really believe that you should learn how to engage your stakeholders. First of all, know how to identify the stakeholders to as well, right? So I think that should help in the long run for you. And then the current job market is in a way that if people can see your work, you really don't exist. It doesn't matter how good you are on your own. If people or the market does not see your work, you don't exist. And the market can be one person, or it can be a big market like LinkedIn, right? Which I do a lot of work on LinkedIn because of the nature of my work. I have to engage professionals, employers, founders, HRs, and they're largely active on LinkedIn, right? So that's a market that I really operate in. So try and find where you can expose yourself, right? Also, how do you call it? Go for events. Like, go for events, meet people, and engage, right? I think I've started on networking, but then for me, right, when it comes to networking, if you pay attention to everything I've said, I've sort of like wanted to offer value to people, right? Before everything comes. When you go to events, the wrong thing which I've seen in some of my colleagues who are business people do is that they go in there for contacts, they go in there for numbers, and also in terms of how do I now get this person's contact and say that I have this person within my network. That's a wrong way to approach people, right? Go into the events, target one or two people that you think that they might need what you have or what you offer as an individual and as a company, and then sell yourself or sell that to them. In that case, you are offering a value to them instead of you now going the reverse way where trying to go to get their numbers or get their emails and engage them. They don't mind you when you reach out to them because you are just one of many people that came to them that way. But then when you go offer a certain value which you know and it can offer, it, it differentiates you from other people too as well. And just to share some numbers with you when it comes to my job and the placements that I do, mainly through LinkedIn and events that I've attended, I've been able to secure at least 371 job roles for people, and that's mainly through LinkedIn and and then events that I've been to, right? And in terms of my career switches and everything, I've had to go to like four different companies, and they've always been through someone's recommendation or someone saw my work or someone that I approached at an event, right? So I think that relationships are quite important. Don't um, underestimate it. Um, always try and find the right people to engage, not just anybody to engage, and it will open doors for you. I strongly recommend that. And then when it comes to the job market, right, the thing is that based on your proof of work, right? So I would say for me, I was able to build a lot of experience in my uni days. So I didn't even bother about doing, how do you call it, internships during my uni days. I only did one with a US based company, which was an international development company because that's the field I wanted to enter. And I was able to do it with them for like 8 months straight, and it wasn't paid for as well, right? But it helped me build experience, and I was still in uni, right? So I believe that you can always build experience through internships. And once again, they don't have to be paid for. If you have a long-term goal, they have to be paid for. You do internships as much as you can. Volunteer for people. Just be of service to people. If you can do freelancing, go ahead and do it for a period of time. I'm not saying do it all the time, right? For a period of time, you have to know how to like strategize that. I have a method which I might share with you guys on the call. If anyone asks about that, yes. And then also have a portfolio or have a data for the work that you are doing. I'm only able to pull up these numbers because I document my work. Like I'm being like documenting my work. So when I say I'm able to place 371 people to job roles, it's based on me documenting my work, right? So I said I work on projects and then document them every time. And then once you are into anything, right, just put your all into it. It's it works. It's either you're all in or all out. It just that's what has worked for me. As I said, I'm going to share my experience with you and then what has worked for me. So be all in or just be all out. No one is going to kill you for that. And in terms of the kind of the young people that I engage around me that want jobs, one of the things I've seen is that you just have to do things, right? Don't wait to be ready, right? If you're a builder, just keep on building, right? Don't wait for the right opportunity or don't wait to get there before you put yourself out there. Keep building and then keep putting yourself out there. Because the truth is that people would appreciate stories about learning than stories about expertise, right? Because even those that post the expert type of stories on LinkedIn, the ones that get the most engagement are the ones that people are learning from, not the ones where people are behaving as if they know it all, right? So keep building and then keep sharing your knowledge out there. Learn how to communicate your value, but then, and I think like a key point for me, I engage quite a good number of young people and they don't have the experience, but then the kind of amount that they charge, it's crazy. I remember a few years ago, I was trying to match someone to a data role, and this man is now learning data. But that person was charging like $1,000 for an internship, right? And that person went for the they couldn't solve it, right? But they had like this big amount in mind because they had gone to Glassdoor and then you can now communicate the amount of money, but it's quite that simple as well. Also, I think I've shared this a couple of times. Learn how to build relationships. I remember there's a point where I think I was also trying to build something, and my mind was also about the fact that I want to reach out to the big people. And a good friend of mine called Brobe shared a video with me. I think most of you might have seen it. It's a Ray video where it was more about learning to build with the people around you, right? So when you're building something, don't always look at the people at the top there. I promise you, within your circle of friends, there are people that know the people that you are trying to reach out to. But because you are even ignoring the people around you, you are not able to get to the people that you want to get to. And there's this brilliant article on that. I think it's called the 6 degrees. And the idea is mainly that for whoever you want to meet, right? In your circle of people, there should be at most 6 people that can get you through the 6 degrees. And we try to dare it out. So we mentioned Bill Gates' name. And I'm like, how do I get to Bill Gates? And I realized that I actually have someone in my contacts that Bill Gates has funded his startup, right? So in that case, if I'm here and thinking of I want to reach out to Bill Gates, there's no one else that can reach out to Bill Gates. But then if I protest my relationships right now, there's someone that I can get through to that can connect me to Bigit in case I want to get something to do with him, right? So really important. Try and master the relationship with the people that are around you. They hold the biggest doors that you might how do you call it? You might want or aim for. So my three steps in positioning yourself clearly is that learn a skill or pick one thing and really immerse yourself in a particular thing. It's not about how many things you are doing. It's about how well you're able to build yourself in one particular thing, and that really helps you in a long time future, right? And then also learn to show your work. It's really important. Learn to show your work and learn to build relationships. I think I've touched on a few of these things. I'm happy to share the slides with whoever wants it. I can share with Ellie to share it with you guys. But I think I will end it here. If anyone has any question, you can feel free and ask, and then I'll be glad to respond to your question. I know we're going to quite a lot more theory, but then I'm happy to. So Ellie, I believe you are going to coordinate the questions. But then, yeah, if anyone has a question, feel free and drop it in the chat box, and I'm happy to help in case there's any.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Ellie, over
So
to you.
thank you very much, Salom. I really appreciated that you've spoken about some of the questions that the interns usually access or early career professionals usually access. And one question that I think you've not spoken about is usually, and I know you are also into this space, job descriptions. So, assuming someone is going for an interview and then
Mhm.
they listed a lot of skills that that person should have. Nowadays, they even generate the entire job description with AI. So, which even means that the JD is not a true reflection of what that person is going to meet in the market, or sorry, in the field. What should I'm putting myself in the shoes of an entry level professional, data engineer, data scientist, software engineer, any secretary. What should I do?
These are so this is what I've learned engaging with employers. When it comes to the point about the JD, as you mentioned, right? Even though yes, a good number of them use AI tools in their work, they still go back and edit it to suit what they want to communicate out there. It's only sometimes the lazy HRs that might not go to age, they go back and edit the JDs to suit what they want from people. And to answer your question about how do you call it? Maybe position yourself well with the job description, right? Whenever a company posts a job description out there and you are an entry level person, the first thing to do is to look at the JD itself, right? What
Yeah.
are they trying to communicate in the JD? Because every single word there is important to them. So what you have to do is, can I do this work? If you can do it, the next thing to do is to tailor your experience and then your work to the keywords in their JD.
Okay.
Notice that I'm not saying that someone should go and lie. I'm saying that if you can do the work, then tailor your work towards that. Let me give you, if a company puts out there that they are looking for a social media manager,
Yeah.
LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Know that they've picked these three out of all the social media platforms out there. This is what they are telling you they want. Now, in your JD, even if you have all the other ones, your priority should be on these three that they have highlighted in their job description, and then you just move with that. That's one. Secondly, in terms of what they expect from or how they it, and then just your resume or your CV to just match that. Because now we are now with the age of AI, and they're using a lot of AI tools to even review applications, right? There's a friend that applied for a role, and within that same second, she was rejected, right? I'm assuming that she might have gone over the ball, or the her CV is not really tailored towards a job, and then she was rejected immediately. But once an alignment of your JD to your resume, you're in a good position to be called for an interview. It's really that simple. At least that's what I've learned, and that's what I can share with you guys. Um,
Okay.
I've
Okay,
seen
but
a question in the chat box. I don't know if Ellie, I can go ahead and answer that.
yes, yes. But maybe before you go ahead with that, one of the reasons YouTube will recommend this channel or this program to someone is because probably you will like it and subscribe, so that it knows that, okay, the algorithm knows that this is very relevant, so it recommends it to people. So just take a second as Selom is answering the question. Just like and then subscribe to the channel if you've not done so. Yeah, Salom.
Yeah, yeah. There's a question here for someone who is more introverted and shy. How do you go about conversations to get to the point of helping the person solve a problem? Also, how do you document your progress? Yes, so for someone that is shy, I would recommend starting off a virtual conversation with the person, right? So for someone like you, in person might not help you communicate your value very well. But then if you are able to send a LinkedIn message, send an email to the person, or send a person Instagram message, you'll be able to communicate your value very well. And from there, what happens really is that you've broken the ice. It's like conversation with that person. So the more you continue to talk and then engage, once you meet the person, it becomes easier, because in this case, you are not going back to introduce yourself. You are now going back to talk about some of the key things that you want to discuss with that person. And it should be easier for you because you already have a prior conversation with the person. So I recommend starting an online conversation with the people. But then also, I would say that as you progress professionally, the corporate world, unfortunately, depending on where you find yourself in and the kind of people within your company, doesn't really pay people that are shy, right? So I would say that you can improve upon your communication and learn how to communicate and then become better. You don't have to be all out. You just have to know who to engage and how best to engage them. And in terms of documenting your progress, right? For every single, even for JDs, they put KPIs in your JDs, right? Even if it's not in there, in the offer letter that you receive, there should be KPIs in your offer letter, right? If there is none, think of your role or upload your role into, how do you call it? Any AI tool, for example, and ask it to create a list of KPIs for you that you can compare with other things, right? So that really helps you to be able to really like jot down some of the things that you are you are doing, right? And I think that for someone that's really invested in their work, they should be able to document their work, right? So documenting your work, depending on the type of work that you do, it can be qualitative or quantitative, right? But you need to be quantitative to communicate the qualitative part of your work, right? So if let's say if you're a data person, right? How many projects have you worked on? Just list those projects. If you're a data marketer, when you enter the company, for example, what was the current following? You write it down somewhere in an Excel sheet or a Google document or something. Write it down, and then as you are working, you just be checking the improvements, and then you only want to compare the before and then the after. Then you get to see what's really happening. So that's one way of documenting your work, right? Essentially, and that's what most people do. Actually, I don't know if that really helps answer your question, Salome. Ellie, I think you're the one in chat. So yes,
So at the
I'm not
moment,
seeing any more. Okay.
yeah, Salome says thank you. At the moment, there's no more question. So we'll wait for probably 1 minute. Maybe someone is still typing. So let's see. If no question, then we just end the call.
Yeah. But I've shared the document with you, so you can feel free and share with your community as well.
Okay. Okay. I will share it via the email and some of the social media platforms that allow for the sharing of PDFs.
Okay.
Okay, so since there is no question, Salom, thank you very much for the insights you have given to us. Personally, I've taken um, notes. Yeah, I've taken a lot, a lot of
Yeah.
notes when you were talking, and thank you very much, especially about the aspect of giving value and then building relationships, being of service to people. And I know, especially those taking the VA course at the moment, will appreciate that when it gets to the latter part, because it's some of the things that we'll be talking to them about. Yeah. Okay. So till we meet again, the next section will be about motivation, and that will be in May. So remember that this is okay. Someone has. So after this question, then we just wrap up. Okay. Salam, there's the last
I've
question.
always thought LinkedIn. I've always thought LinkedIn is very performative, so that has been the reason for not sharing my journey. See, this is the truth, right? Let people on other platforms say what they want to say about LinkedIn, right? There are people on LinkedIn that are making it on LinkedIn. So I would say that don't listen to, how do you call it, the outside noise, right? Share it on LinkedIn and see how it works for you, right? So just do your own experiment. Ignore all the other platforms and what people say. Experiment it for yourself. It worked for people countless times. One of my first jobs I got in uni, which was with a distribution label, was through LinkedIn. Was like very easy. And even now, I think I'm hearing complaints about the job portal on LinkedIn and end up being effective. And oh, trust me, it's just how you position yourself on LinkedIn. It's just brand yourself properly. Don't lie. Just brand yourself properly. How do I share my journey without appearing to be performative? If you are sharing your journey, I think remove the idea of performance in your head, right? And just share and do what you are doing. It's that simple. What I'm hearing from your question, it's more like you are inferring from what people are saying and calling them informative, just go ahead and then share your individual journey. And that's it. Just go ahead and share your individual journey. Whatever you are working on, just share it. Usually, what I recommend for people, especially in the tech space, is that share your, let's say you're working on a data set, for example, right? To build a dashboard. The easiest thing for you to do is to share your experience when once you saw the data sets, what you hope to build with the data sets, and then what you were able to build after going through the process of cleaning the data, analyzing it, and building your dashboard. Just share like the steps that way, your before and after, and then you are good to go. There's nothing informative about LinkedIn. I would say ignore all of those comments and then share your story, and it's going to work out for you in your own way. So yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Selom. So if you've not subscribed, you've not liked, kindly do that. And if you know anyone who really have to listen to or watch this session, kindly do or copy the link and share with the person. Thank you very much, Selom, for sharing all this insight with us. So see you all next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.